So the first film I made was probably in about 2005, and it was called Quit, which was aptly named because that's what everyone did about 3/4 of the way in, was they all quit. Cheers. And then I made my own first feature film called Game Face right after that. And that one made it all the way through. I'm gonna jump forward. What I wanna do is talk about some videos that I've made, and I'm gonna go with one I made actually very recently for a really cool company in Wisconsin, and they're called Made Men Productions. So I'm gonna put it up here on the screen, and I'm gonna talk about it while I watch it. You know, that whole thing. Let's start off by talking about this. This was made in Chicago in a very old 1800s, what you'd call a factory turned into a loft setup sort of thing. Very rough. Everything was original. Old wooden floors, just amazing place. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better place to have a loft. There was a place there called the Boutique Photo Loft, and we rented that space out. There was all kinds of great old couches that were reupholstered and painted silver and just crazy stuff. Long draperies and things like that. I had been to the place once before, and I knew roughly what the place was like, and I knew that they had these really cool stairways with doors to the stairways that were old metal. These are photo shoots waiting to happen. That's how we start this. Is the client, film production guy, he's got this cool business out there in Wisconsin, and he wanted me to kind of bring in a speakeasy type feel for the whole thing. So what I wanted to do was take people on a little bit of a journey down stairs into this place. So I kind of tricking people through the camera that we're going down into this place when really we're just going downstairs, and then we end up right back where we were. And so you'll see this model here. Her name is Haley Grace. We got her with a shotgun and a really great fur coat. I said I'm gonna have her lead us down these stairs, and that's what we do right here. Okay, so she got that shotgun. She's going down the stairway. I'm dollying to the side. Okay, now she's inside the actual loft that we were gonna shoot in, and I found some draperies that we could close. You're now entering into the speakeasy, and we have another model here, and she's using a clapboard to let you know where you are. I needed a clapboard because I knew this was going to be a promo about a film company. And so the clapboard to me is kind of iconic for filmmaking. And I didn't want a new one like the crappy little plastic ones they got down at, you know, the new places now. I wanted this old-fashioned, like the handmade ones they used to make back in the 20s and 30s. Went and got some wood, and I bought some slate off someplace, and the edges of the slate were kind of rough. Had to kind of trim them down and sand them. You can see there's gaffer's tape around the outside of it, and then I painted the lines on. Very simple, but very old-fashioned, just the way they used to do it. It worked great, all chalky. Here we go. So she's clapping the clapboard. I've used a whole collection of old footage, and I will throw it over my footage just to give it a kind of another kind of a transition feel. And it's all grainy and dirty, and I love it. And then you kind of do it like you do in Photoshop, where you throw it on a layer and then you bury it into that high def footage, which is kind of boring. To me, anytime I can dirty up some footage, high def stuff, and make it look more filmy and more grainy and gritty, I'll do it. So before I did this, I knew that we wanted to have a speakeasy, and that's probably about it. Speakeasy, girls, we have our man who's the producer, we have all the cool 20s wardrobe. So when we enter right here, you can see on the side there's two panels, and those are old, I'm assuming old vintage panels. And we went there the day before, and we literally just set down the whole plan based on my storyboards. If I hadn't drawn up those storyboards before, like 2 weeks before, we would have had no plan at all. And it doesn't mean you have to stick with the plan. It just means you have to get something figured out, and then you can vary off the plan, which I think we kind of did a little bit. It's really close to the storyboards. So I wanted to have this thing where we went through. I knew we had a magician who is one of the producers over at Made Men. He was there, and he does magic. I mean, if you have a magician in your video, use them any way you can. In this case, I thought, okay, he's gonna do this thing with a flower, and I wanna have him at the end of my shot, and I wanna have like a long moving dolly tracking shot right in like that. But I want to go through some things. So we had these little panel walls. We set those up. Time for a drink. So we had these 2 panels, 2 chairs right behind the panels. We have 2 models sitting on the gold chairs. I just wanted them right face to face, just chatting. Because you know when you're in a bar, you can't talk from over here. You have to be in each other's face. I think they do that on purpose. Loud music, I get to get close, get into your ear, maybe something. There they are talking, clinking, added in sound effects later. And that makes everything like, you know, there's only 5 people in that room, probably 6 people, 7 people. When you add sound effects in later, it livens up the whole scene. And we're going. We move in and we're moving in, and right behind them there is a girl, and I had her spinning this very cool old parasol. And so now we've got the panels, you've got the girls, you've got the parasol, and they all start to pull back and pull away. As I come dollying through them, everyone starts to peel back. And then parasol moves out of the way, and boom, black and white. And now we get to see our magician, who is behind a bar, kind of like a bartender. Now we're into the second section. Okay, so we got our clapboard again, and our, boom, feature films. This was also part of the promo, was to show off the things that this company does. They make feature films, short films. In a minute, we'll show everything they do, which is this huge long list of stuff. Anytime someone puts a list of type on a page, you know you're gonna start getting bored. So you have to do something else to kind of go along with it. We'll get there. Now we're in the scene 2, and scene 2 is kind of a production line, old-fashioned style. So you got the writer, and she is sitting there typing away on a vintage old typewriter. She's got the story. She hands the story over to the producer. He takes a look at it. He makes corrections. He says his notes. Okay, boom, boom. Now, he passes it off to the runner. I'm just calling her that. I have no clue what she takes that, and she starts walking up to the stage. Okay, here's one of the Bolex cameras. Bolex, that's the name I was trying to remember. Bolex. Here's one of the Bolex cameras, and our writer is now shooting, because, you know, it's typical of indie film. You're doing everything. You don't just write, you shoot, you make coffee, pour the drinks. That's a Bolex camera. I wanted the cameras to kind of look like guns, so I found these cameras. I will admit right away here that timing-wise, chronologically, historically, those cameras don't belong in the 20s. Those are probably 1963-ish. I don't care. It's just cool. So there she goes. She has that camera. We zoom in. Boom. Here's another shot. Oh, I have to say, I don't like to toot my own horn, but sometimes. This shot, I'm dollying around her hand with the camera, and I'm moving in. Now clapboard again, drama, and now we go all the way in towards our femme fatale. He wanted someone who kind of looked like a Jean Harlow character. We cut back to the producer, who's like, have you read my notes? Do you know what I want? And I turned her to black and white, so it's kind of his viewpoint now is in black and white, like he sees the film that's being made. She goes back into her thing and passes out, and then we pull back out of the whole scenario and we light a cigar, because that's kind of something I like to do in all my films, is somewhere there's a cigar. She hands a cigar to him. Okay, now we're back to Haley, and Haley is now up on. We're gonna talk about suspense, I guess. Okay, another transition, and ooh, oh yeah. If you get somebody who can flip cards like that, use that. And I dolly into that because I love dollying into stuff. All right, drones. This is just giving you little things that they do on the clapboard. Back to the camera. All right, here we are. He's going to take off the straitjacket, and we're going to list out all the services. Kind of wanted it to look like old vintage movies, you know. To wrap it up, we've got 3 of our ladies here looking at the camera, and I knew that I wanted to end on this hat. And here we go. Wraps up right into her. Boom, Made Men Productions, and the end. Okay, so there you have it. You have a promo video for a company that tells a story. It tells a little something, gives you something fun to look at. And this can be done for literally any type of business. You don't have to be boring. Go into a place that fixes cars or does remodeling to a house and find a way to work a story into their job. Go hang out with them for you know, a few hours one day and see what they do, and see if you can throw a couple of actors in there. That is like the funnest thing ever, because you're taking something that could be seemingly boring and you're actually putting a face to it. You're putting a lot of faces to it. Put some drama right in the middle of it. It's just a product. If you watch the things on TV that people, where they fix up houses, they throw drama into it, even if there isn't any. They put drama in it because as humans, that's what we want. Cheers again, and thank you for watching.